I hope you are well. So I had a lot of requests about menopause. I'm soon 65. I will be 65 in December, and I started menopause like 20 years ago. It lasts like 10 years. So it's a long story. First of all, I think we have to have in mind that we are mortal and that we are organic like nature, and that we are, deal by cycles like nature is. So we have to face this once and for all, and I think in this time we are really facing that our mortality. So maybe life takes more importance, being aware that we're going to die. So menopause, it's a stage. In fact, it's something, it's like a state that's going to stop. It's like a cycle. It's like something that's going to end. But it's not because it's ending that life is finished. So when I started to have the first signs around 42, 33, and I had a miscarriage when I was 45, 46 in 2001 of 3 months, and it has been something very difficult. I never suffered so much in my body than that, because it's not only the physical pain, but it's also the big loss. But I learned a lot during this period of menopause. As maybe a lot of you know, I cure myself naturally. I eat quite an healthy diet without following any type of diet, but just enjoying food and with moderation, but everything, even if my diet is mostly vegetarian. So what happened, I started to be really tired. And at that time, I was living in New York, and I was seeing my gynecologist in France, like once a year for the regular examination. And my gynecologist in France was also an homeopath, and she was also a naturopath, and not a psychanalyst, but she was also really good in transgenerational phenomenon in psycho, and it was really, really interesting to be followed by her, because we could have really deep discussion at deeper level that only the physical, or you do your examination, that's it. No, it was also good to be able to make the link with the globality of my being, not only the physical aspect. So I think also we have on our path the therapeuts that are matching our demand, responding to our inner demand of the way to be healed, to be cured, to be understood, to be guided. So this brings me back much earlier on time, in 1981, when something happened in my body, and this has been the moment where I shift my consciousness about how to be healed, why going to the doctor, and it changed my life, because before that I was always sick, always something, until something happened and I understood that in fact I was doing that to have someone taking care of me. And this made me facing also things really difficult emotionally. But I went through all these years, and I found this gynecologist in Paris. I think she's not practicing anymore, and but I stay in touch many years with her. And like that, to go through this process, I've been helped by plant, because she was working with also the spirit of plants, mother tincture of plants, homeopathy. I've been also, when I was in New York, I had nobody of my medical network, if I can say, so I relied on meeting with people. For example, a friend of mine told me about this woman in Brooklyn who was doing session of Reiki and also acupuncture. So I've been to see her, and Janet was 10 years older than me. So she was 55 at that time. And I was so tired, really tired. And I had also this idea always about death crossing my mind. And it was not depression. And I was surprised because I'm someone very positive, very happy, never depressed. So I was wondering, what is going on? In a way, I knew what was going on. I knew it was the end of a cycle, and my psyche somewhere was sending me symbols of this end of this cycle. So I knew all that because I work with symbols since very, very long time. I study a lot about symbolization, about symbolism. And I knew this was showing me, in fact, my soul through my body was showing me with these messages and this vision, the end of a cycle, to be really aware of it. Not only you feel in your flesh, in your cells, but it's also, for me, it was also showing to me by images. And it was, in a way, it could be scaring for people who are not used to symbols, but it was also disorienting to me because I was not used to be so with so many thoughts of death all the time. So this lasts quite 2 or 3 years, and this was before I started to have hot flashes. I don't had a lot, but I had a lot of sweat night. I was wet during the night to the point that I sleep naked. I was obliged to have jogging in cotton to absorb all the transpiration. And sometimes I was even obliged to change my bed because it was so much water. I could not believe it. So I took, like I do all the time, I looked for the good side of that. I took my prescription, homeopathic, I did acupuncture, I went in session with Janet. Janet told me at the first session, don't worry, it's gonna last some years. But after, you're gonna have so much energy, an energy that you don't even know now and that you never knew before. And me, I was so down, I was wondering how this is possible. And now, 15 years after, yes, it is possible. But I learned a lot about how to manage my energy as well, because I was someone very active and even too much. I'm Sagittarius, fire sign, always, with a March in Scorpio, very positive and very well aspected. So always has to be on fire, always things has to be like over the top and overwhelmed and over too much active and too much doing things and never rest, especially never rest. So my body obliged me to change totally that and to be more present as well. I was doing yoga since a long time, but in extreme, not like I do now, more relaxed and more like meditative and enjoying to be in the posture and doesn't care really if it's totally perfect. This is no mean to me anymore. But that way to be so wet the night, and I say, okay, what is the advantage of that? The advantage of that, sweating like that, I clear my whole body and my skin is great. My skin always been great. So my skin I was really clear. So this is a good point. Now, I was always cold, paradoxically, being so active. I was always with my feet cold. I started to don't have that. I said, wow, this is great. Now, I'm not suffering of cold anymore. I put layers and I take 1 layer off, 2 layers off, but this also made me change my way to dress because, as you know, fashion is quite important to me, even if it's my fashion. So I changed my way to dress with layering, and I found this very creative. I say, oh, this is interesting. I can do that because I make my clothes, so I can make it like that, like this. I can take off that. I can have that underneath, and it's always nice. I can drape that over top if I take it. And I started to play with that. In the same time, I started to have my vision going down around 45, 48. So I started to have this regular loop, it's not, now I have another pair of, precision glasses for when I sew, or when I do something very precise, because I cannot see perfectly with these, but these are enough. And sometimes if there is sun, I am in the sun with a book, I don't need even that because there is a lot of light going in my eyes. So now I had to wear these sometimes because more and more my harm was that. And this was going in the same time as the process of menopause. So I was like, oh my goodness, this is aging, it's terrible. But another side of me was thinking, no, it's natural. So you have to go with that. So I said one day, and it's always a state of mind. So one day I said, okay, I'm gonna look for some nice glasses. And I started to wear them and more, and I started to find this very sexy. I say, oh, it's up to me to wear it like an inconvenience thing or like something, an accessory that give me another attitude, that make me a little bit different and even more sexy than before. So I started to play with that. And in fact, it's that when you can play with all these things, it's much more lighter. So all these years, I discovered also, because my friend osteopath in Paris, that I knew since many, many years, was also an amazing teacher. I follow class with him for many years of symbolism, told me, before menopause arrived, he said, take care of sugar, because with the hormone, it's very difficult for the hormone to deal with processed sugar, not the natural one of fruits. He don't told me don't eat any fruits anymore, or dates or things with sugar naturally, but the processed one. So I forgot that for a while, and when I started to be menopause and it was more and more installed, one thing I could not stand was red wine that I was drinking, I think almost every day, one glass, during meal. And this was impossible anymore. And I remember what he told me, sugar. I said, oh my goodness, my face was totally destroyed. So I stopped all the processed sugar. And this has been amazing for me. I don't know if it's for everybody like that, but I still had fruits, but I stopped to have all sugar that are everything where there is sugar, that is ice cream or this kind of thing, processed, or patisserie that you buy already made, or croissant, or the bread that is made with sugar, all these things that can be organic, but there is sugar inside. So I stopped that, and this has been a big change. Hot flashes went much down. Sweat night almost finished. Maybe it was also my cycle. After a couple of years, 3 years of these nights, it was done. I don't know. But things has been really easier. I continue during all these years to have acupuncture regularly. And also I have a friend in Paris